Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UBA Season 3, Week 7 Power Rankings. And this time we are joined by a special guest.
Apples. I'm just saying.
Alright. It's too late for the Crab Rave intro now. But, yeah, since last week ran so long and due to extensions, we're just going to combine last week and this week into single power rankings. So this is effectively the week 6 and 7 power rankings, but they're like where I feel the teams lie as of week 7, but considering there'll be analysis for all the week 6 games too, if that makes sense. Alright, so I guess we'll get right into it. And at number 11 we have the Philadelphia Winkles and Jacob, who since taking over for Hazy has lost to Mars and D. Winchell. Against Mars, his team was incredibly underprepared for Zero Aura. He didn't bring a single ground type when he had Gastrodon on the roster and forced his Zapdos to take massive damage from the very beginning, and he really couldn't do much about it. Or he couldn't really
Wheezing.
He brought Wheezing, yeah, but it didn't switch into it. He had Shelgon, or he couldn't kill a Shelgon, which is a big issue. Like, he lost to a Shelgon. That shouldn't really ever happen.
I think like Wheezing was his counter to like.
I think he brought it for the Bulu.
Oh yeah, I guess actually.
Which makes sense. But like the fact that he didn't have the Gastrodon made Zero really hard to switch into, and even Primarina late game, which I believe was specs just based on how much damage it was doing.
Pete, so Wheezing.
Yeah.
Zapdos is also a counter, I guess. Like well, I don't think you needed to bring Wheezing, especially when you're weak to like your Aura.
I don't think Wheezing was a terrible bring because it is probably one of the best Bulu checks out there. But like clicking Protect against Bulu after it super powered into it, whereas you could have got off a Wisp or a Toxic or something that could have lasted you a while, was also a pretty big misplay. And then against what was that?
I was just saying against like the Shelgon, like I guess he didn't prep for it because he didn't expect to bring it. Like he still got beaten by a Shelgon, so it's like
low key it does check card, I guess.
It's my play.
And then against D. Winchell, he had nearly an unlosable matchup. There were so many things on his team that D. Winchell just had absolutely no means to check, and he could exert so much offensive pressure on him. The Heracross was a major one. There was absolutely nothing D. Winchell could do to prevent Jacob from claiming kill every time Heracross came out, assuming that it came out against something he was faster than, and he was able to get it in against T-Tar, and then he just bulk upped as Togekiss came in and let D. Winchell like offensively pressure it out for no reason, whereas like bulk up never did anything because you didn't need the +1 bonus to claim a kill, and it was always going to be offensively checked thereafter. So it really didn't make sense because the Mon just claimed to kill every time it came out. But
what was his check for Shaman?
He had what's his face? Heatran.
Shaman gets Earth Power, and he like sacked Heatran to revenge kill Shaman.
Yeah. A Rindo Shuka could have helped him out with that, or maybe a Scarf. Assault Vest allowed him to basically kill it, but still, I think the bigger issue was like just absolutely not utilizing the offense, because the offense he had here just absolutely ran over D. Winchell. There was nothing he could do about it, but he really just did not put on any pressure. Also with the Aerodactyl, he Stone Edged into Milotic instead of setting up rocks, which also really did not benefit him at all long term, because Milotic could just heal the next turn and he essentially didn't gain anything, whereas the rocks would have been doing residual damage all game.
D. Winchell just out-prepped him.
Yeah.
I think that, I guess he had an excuse, but at the same time it's like
he did say he didn't have much time to prepare for this week, which maybe he can perform better in the following weeks, but after joining and losing 2 games, especially like losing to D. Winchell's respectable, but the matchup was like tremendously in his favor, and losing to Mars, who is not not extremely highly rated, warrants the last place in my opinion.
He got to beat me 6-0 last week, alright?
Alright.
That's it, right?
Yeah, move on to number 10. We have Mars now, um, who has beaten Jacob and lost to PK and Flair since subbing in. So we're focusing on the last 2 weeks, which is like Flair and Jacob, right? Yeah. So we already talked about the Jacob game. He actually didn't bring his Zard, which is really weird because Zard actually did really well against Jacob's team, especially because Jacob didn't bring the Gastrodon, which like not only checks Zard but the Zero Aura. So that Gastrodon really should have been there, but it wasn't. So Zard would have really put in work in conjunction with the Zero Aura. So that's a bit weird, but I guess he did get the win, so there is that.
Oh.
And against Flair, he just brought absolutely nothing to deal with Scarf Infernape, and then sacked his Zard early onto a Bronzong, which should also never happen. His Zard didn't have Roost, and he just had absolutely no sense of preservation for it, and then his Fire Resist died, and then Scarf Infernape killed everyone.
Oh, I hit up Mars like right before the game, and I told him to like. I'm warming about Infernape because I didn't like expect this. I wasn't thinking about Scarf Infernape, but I was thinking. What was I thinking about?
I don't know, PK. What were you thinking about?
Told him because he wanted to bring Zatu defensively, and I was like, did all 5 sweepers, but like no like counters or like switch-ins, and I was like, so you're just gonna revenge kill everything? And he was like, I have no counters, and I was like, makes sense. And then he tried to play safe for Gliscor, and he's like, which I guess, but like I expected Flair to like bring Sword Stance Gliscor because like has done that every single week.
Yeah, Flair definitely does. Do you bring the same sets like offensive aggron?
I warned him about that. He didn't take it, but obviously, decision. I'm trying to find the replay. Where's the replay?
It's in the schedule section. It's the best place to find the replays.
I was just looking at the stupid thing. Yeah. So at one point he air slashed. What was it? Gliscor 3 times with Zatu, and then
he hacked it to death.
And Bronzong switched in, and I knew he couldn't take a gyro ball. He had Heat Wave on it, by the way.
What percent was he at? Because a defensive Zatu can probably eat it, because Bronzong's really weak.
It's 90, and yeah, here it is.
Yeah, he could probably eat that. Bronzong's really weak.
So he decided to switch into his. Actually, he did Heat Wave, and he missed.
Yeah, that would suck.
That gave him 53, so he would have died for the next one. Yeah, actually.
Regardless, though, I think letting Zard like playing so recklessly with it, and when there was an Infernape on the other side, really kind of just sealed his fate.
I think he should have just sacked Zatu there. Kill. But the thing is, he had Fire Punch instead of Flare Blitz.
I don't think that was even so much the issue. Just so much is just like you need to keep your Fire Resist alive against Infernape, and he didn't.
I'm guessing that Infernape had Earthquake though.
Even if it did, that doesn't matter, because if it's Scarf Infernape, it was going to destroy him, and it was.
Rocks up.
Yeah, I think we've said all we can say in this matchup.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. Reggie pointed this out, that when he had Zero Aura came in, and even though if it was Scarf, I think Zero Aura survived a Flare Blitz.
Does it?
It was Mars said it was a roll in Flair's favor, but it still gave him a chance. He switched out and he had 0 chance of winning.
I think he really just had 0 chance of winning once the Zard went down. There was just nothing he could do. So I think like doing literally anything except sacking Zard was his way of winning, and Zard should have always had Roost. So
It was sub Fire Punch and out Dragon Claw, I think.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be Roost. Sub is a smart tech if you're expecting Toxic, but you need to have Roost with it too if you're going to do that. You there still?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
I was hearing like a whistling sound. I wasn't sure if that was your mic disconnecting or something.
I was yawning.
All right. Let's go to number 9 then, Flair. This is working out nicely because we keep talking about these guys matches against each other, and we just like roll right into another. So Flair played Mars and got the win.
Me.
Oh shit! I just realized I have a period next to PETA and not a comma. How professional. But yeah, he just brought Flare Blitz and Fernape, and then Mars sacked the Zard for no reason. Like, there wasn't even anything Flare really had to do, except click Flare Blitz a few times after Mars threw the game away.
I actually think Flair's prep was actually not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. Sometimes Flair's prep isn't that bad, and lots of times you're just like, why is there not a Kyurem here?
Kind of whack Flair, but it's okay.
Then he also played you the week before, and that was also a really fucking whack game. He had Bolt Beam on pretty much every mon he had. Like Bolt Beam Agrod, Bolt Beam Gliscor, what else did he have? I don't know, I think anything that could have had Bolt Beam had it.
Fang me to death.
Yeah. He tried 1v1ing Selly with a Gliscor, which is never going to work out. And he really just had no means to kill the Gliscor. Or not the Gliscor, the Selly. So he was able to kind of just at least see it and annoy him forever.
Tom Frost literally killed him this game, I think.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, I think like late game he kind of like choked, or like not choked, but like just played the end game really badly. I'm gonna pull up the replay on my phone
right now. I came into the game knowing that Flair makes some straightforward plays and like plays that you shouldn't overpredict. So I was just predicting a straightforward play, and he actually like, I can't remember. I think it was an end game, which made it look like it was cornered.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only reason why I won 2-0 instead of 4-0.
He kept also like trying to predict you to switch out for no reason, like Ice Fanging against Celesteela as if Thunderfang was a threat. And then it like one time actually worked out because he went to Zygarde.
Yeah. Play aggressive just to finish the game, because at that point it was just like, no. And Vaporeon, he didn't send out Vaporeon till the end, and I was like, why did you bring Vaporeon in the first place? And if you're gonna bring Vaporeon passing, and he just got ruined by rocks and toxic spikes, pairing me with Tangrowth, which didn't really bite me in the end, but it was. He got a couple hacks. Oh, this is what happened. I remember I made a godlike play because.
Yeah, because you DD'd as the Kyurem roosted.
And he fusion
That was a
bowled
weird
me.
play.
He DD'd and then he roosted. And I was
Why
like,
were you grounding him though? For Agrod maybe?
Oh no.
Or Gliscor, I guess.
No, it was Aggron because it survived 1,000 arrows at +1.
Mm-hmm. Oh fuck.
I remember thinking about this. I was like, he's gonna switch out the Gliscor, but instead of just outraging to kill everything, I'm just gonna swag on him and just ground the MCM. Just and then he's got immune, and I was like, well, fuck me. And I just outraged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, late game you missed the blizzard, and then Tang came in. I remember watching this and thinking it was weird.
So basically, I almost choked. It's weird.
Well, he kept trying to heal Celebi.
A Wish passing. I'm pouring on it Wish. It was just weird prep.
Yeah.
I think Infernape would have.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I'm pretty sure he didn't know that if he roosted, he would only be singularly weak to your HPI, so he could have roosted easily on you instead of trying to go for the flinch. and then like easily like kept up higher than you and beat you eventually. I don't think he knew that he could roost to eat your HPS.
It's
And I think he could have won that game. And I remember thinking, wow, Flair should really go in, or PK should really go into Selly here on the roost because it's such an obvious play. And I was like, wait a second, I bet Flair doesn't even know that he can roost here and eat it. And then you killed it, and I was like, yeah, Flair didn't even know. Yeah, that was what I was thinking of.
I don't think I even thought about that either, to be honest. I don't remember.
But yeah,
that play.
I guess that's enough on those matches. We'll move to number 8, Robot Boy, who lost to Tepig and DeWinchill. Against DeWinchill. Huh?
The hacks.
To Tepig?
He got hacked.
By who?
Because apparently that crit mattered.
In which game?
It's Tepig. Cody and Tepig.
I don't remember anything about that. To me, it kind of looked like Tepig kind of just rolled over him. Against DeWinchill, he definitely got rolled over. He hacks himself out of a 5-0, of DeWinchill's typical 5-0, or maybe even a 6-0, because like he almost lost to a freaking Curse or Registeel.
This is what happened. He switched into slow, bro. Moonblast critted him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because like if the crit did 90, then it would have done like 40, right?
It's
like
1.5 about, I think, so that would be
60.
about 60.
So the crit didn't matter.
Yeah, probably not.
So it's not this play.
Well, against DeWinchill, he got pretty dominated. And T-Tar absolutely went off. I think T-Tar got all 6 kills. He had absolutely no way of dealing or switching into T-Tar at all. He didn't bring Wisp on his Rotom Heat, which like really made him unable to beat T-Tar. He has a weird thing where he keeps bringing Dusclops, and Dusclops keeps doing a grand total of 0 things every match. Dusclops did like 50% to a Milotic and wasted its time, but it really didn't do anything worthwhile.
I think he would bring Wisp on Dusclops instead of Toxic.
He might have, but it was like a burnt Milotic anyways.
Toxic Registeel, and Registeel was always going to switch on. Not always, but yeah. Trapped.
Maybe I remember it differently, but the game against Tepig, it looked like Tepig kind of just outplayed him.
Looking at it earlier, I think.
Yeah, Tepig brought he got really destroyed by Diancie. Diancie had a pretty cool tech with like Protect to scout out the Scarf Magnezone's moveset. And then like yeah.
Eating the switch and Diancie, what? Speak today. Oh my god. Yeah. Slow King, he just tried to focus blast.
Oh, you're talking about the DeWinchill game?
Yeah, just try to focus blast Registeel.
Yeah, that was never. Slowking was never going to beat Registeel. He actually had no way of killing Registeel except for freezing it.
Freeze it.
And then he froze it. And then I think he got a max roll to kill it too. I don't know if overheat thaws you, but if it did, then that mattered. If not, then it was only like an 80% or only a 20% chance that it would have mattered. But if it did, then that definitely does suck for DeWinchill.
9% all fire, sure. All fire moves plus gold.
It's definitely not all fire. I don't think it is, at least. Anyways, yeah, he got pretty much outplayed by 2 superior opponents in terms of play and prep, at least these past 2 weeks. Against DeWinchill, it was just complete under preparation for T-Tar and really just playing on the back foot while it kind of destroyed him. And against Tepig, the similar thing. He was just failed to keep the pressure on while Tepig was able to get Diancie in a lot and kind of keep claiming with it until he had won the game. And then his Scarf
Overheat
Greninja was able
doesn't
to finish. Huh?
Overheat does not unthaw it.
Does it unthaw a target? Or thaw a
Doesn't it?
target?
No.
I don't know. It's not that big a deal.
Not thought
Winchell
it.
still
Alright.
won. But,
Hey. Shout out to D Winchell.
yeah. So, move on to number 7. We have Pete, who played against Reggie. Wait, am I missing some? Oh, Jolty and me. I guess we'll get to Jolty later, but like, Jolty. Normally, if Jolty has even like a remote reason to bring his Mudsteel to a game, he brings it. But like, he matched up against an Excadrill, and like Excadrill is, especially because they hadn't picked up Hoopa at this point, Excadrill is like Pete's only legitimate threat on his entire team, and you have Mudsteel, which is a pretty solid check to it, and chose not to bring it, and then he just kind of just sat there while Drill absolutely ate his team alive.
He brought Mantine?
He brought Mantine. He didn't bring
Drill?
He didn't bring Mudsteel, which is a pretty solid Drill check.
Flygon checks Drill, but
No, it doesn't.
Well, I mean,
It maybe eats one hit, and it did eat one hit eventually.
it rock slides. That
Yeah,
was only attack.
yeah, but it obviously wasn't enough. You're like, if you're playing against an Excadrill, you need to bring more than a Flygon to stop it, especially when it's his only threat. He also didn't bring a Heal Bell and a Sylveon, and that meant that, or at least if he brought it, he didn't click it when he needed to, when Pete had like toxic 3 members of his team and Sylveon had a free turn. But
He just got out-prepped. I think he just out-prepped Jolty.
I don't even think he out-prepped him. I think he brought the obvious prep, and then Pete just didn't bring Mudsteel and just got eaten, or Jolty didn't bring Mudsteel and got eaten alive by Drill. And if you go back and watch that replay real quick, Pete or PK,
Yeah, I just did.
look at how fucking Pete styles all over Jolty when Drill is out, because Jolty's trying his best, like, because he realizes, wait a second, there's nothing I can do about this, because like I let my Flygon get chipped and toxic, and now Drill is in here under sand. What do I do? Yeah, I'm going back to, okay, he protected against it as a SD, which was a really bad play against Sylveon.
At that point, he just...
Yeah, at that point things went really downhill. But yeah, I'm watching it live right now. Again, Pete styles all over him. He goes back into Sylveon to protect, to stall his hands a turn. And then he, like, Pete knows he's going to the Mantine and fucking rock slides the Mantine as a god play.
Oh, I don't see any misplay.
And then he SDs again on the second protect. It's too savage. Yeah. So against me, he brought actually prep that I was like good and really expecting, but like because I was very ready for all of the prep he brought. I was highly expecting him to use the fact that my Gligar was his best check to both Heracross and Excadrill. I was highly expecting Heracross to come in and knock it. That's why I was so confident in going Lucario on it early game, because it made so much sense to try and use Heracross to knock off Gligar to win with Excadrill.
Watch this game live.
Yeah. So, it was a really good idea in theory, but I had, I guess, sniffed it out before it happened. And it was pretty poor management of his Hippo to let it get within sand chip damage, or Spike's chip, to where he was unable to win with it later on, or not even win with it, but set up sand, which dashed any hopes of Drill winning later on. But he did play a good game against Jolty.
Where he like, is this where like he didn't know that like if you switch into like Spikes, it doesn't like set up sand?
Yeah, or like if you die to hazards, you don't put up stuff. I remember this because I had a sand team, and we fucking had a Torkoal on it. We led with Torkoal, and we started, and the guy led with a Lando, and Reggie. I clicked the switch out, and Reggie's like, "No, we're staying in and setting up rocks against Lando and eating like 80% from an earthquake, and we couldn't set up rocks later because Reggie's a dingus." And then we lost. But yeah, I was impressed with his game versus Jolty, and I don't think his prep versus me was bad at all. And now that he has Hoopa, I think he can hopefully at least put together a few wins late in the season. I think it's probably too late for him to make playoffs, although he's in the running just as much as anyone else. I think it's probably too late for him to start making the run, and there's too much competition.
If Jacob keeps losing, then that's a free playoff spot. And
yeah, I think he will, but I don't think Peta will be the one to take it, but he's just as much in the running as anyone else.
Goes down there in Abyss.
Yeah. And he's at least shown to me to be better than all of the coaches below him so far. That's why I have him here.
I just love your U-turn switch. The Medi for the extra kill.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Medi to 25-0, so it gets the tactical nuke.
Gave up on the side guard. I think he's like 5-6. Or 4-6.
Okay, anyways, we move on to Auckland Blastoise and Tepig, who lost to me and beat Robot Boy. We talked about the game versus Robot Boy. He just kind of outplayed him. I don't think his prep was like anything spectacular. It was just like solid in what he needed. Besides Protect Diancie, I think that was a really cool tech. And against me, he didn't bring the Diancie at all, which I think was a really fatal mistake, because that kind of just made Hydreigon able to click Draco all day and claim lives. That is, unless Showdown decides it doesn't want me to do that. And Showdown decided it didn't want me to do that, but in the end, he
Balloon Metagross. Oh.
Yeah, are you watching that replay? You see my fucking double Draco into Mash?
Smash! Oh my god. Oh my god.
But he has this weird thing where he's got Mesprit and Mew, and Mesprit is kind of just bad Mew. I don't know why they're both on the same team, and like he keeps finding reasons to bring both of them. I think it's kind of confusing and weird, because they're like really similar and like just decently distributed stats with psychic typing and a solid move pool. They're like almost the same mon, so I don't know why you have two of them. And then like you're like trying to bring two Mews is kind of not working out. I think defensive Mew should have also come to the game versus me.
At that point when he lost Piloswine, and he just lost to your Coco.
Yeah.
It was just what else is on this team?
He had a Diancie to bring, and he didn't bring it. I think Vacuum Wave Mew was like a solid bring, but like, was it better than defensive? I don't think so.
Never brought Serp.
Has he even? Yeah, I don't think he's brought Serp yet, or if he has, I don't remember it.
I would have liked Jolteon.
Yeah, my Coco had U-turn. It was banded U-turn, so I could do a lot of damage to Jolteon. I was expecting him to actually bring synchronized Jolteon. It's actually some pretty big heat. He can use it does 120. It's 120 base power psychic move, but it can only use it against electric types. So if he clicks it against Coco, he can do 120 base power to either Coco or Lantern, which in Lantern is the most likely switching. It's a psychic move, but it hits things of the same type. So I expected Tepig to be the kind of weirdo to bring some tech like that, but he didn't. But yeah, I think the prep was just really lackluster for that game, but it was good enough to get the job done versus Robot Boy. And so he's been kind of a middle of the pack coach so far. Losing to those.
Confused on,
huh?
Sorry, but I was just confused on why he brought Noivern, Coco, Weavile, and Hydreigon. What did he use it for?
I don't know, maybe he wanted to pressure Lantern, but he didn't even have Jolteon, so Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why. I think Diane State would have been much better bring than it. He said he thought it was too many like fast steal moves threatening it out, but like I said, it like completely removed any risk of me ever clicking a dark move or a dragon move on Hydreigon or Weavile. And so had I not thrown out my Weavile like a dingus, like that would have also been a major threat to him.
Arcanine gets justified. Yeah, what if he brought that heat?
I was expecting defensive Arcanine for it. I thought it would be Intimidate though, just to eat the hits better. But yeah, that definitely could have brought Gum.
Oh, what he could have brought would be better. Oh, you only won 1-0.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but that was because of the hacks.
Think about that though.
But yeah, I think he's lost to most of the higher end coaches. Besides PK, I think PK he could go either way on.
I mean, to that game he had.
I'd say like the rest of these coaches he's lost to are a bit like in another league, if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't favor you against any of them. No offense, but like, you're not.
I guess you could say Jeff too.
Huh?
I guess you could say Jeff too.
Yeah.
It's been on a different level.
Yeah, he lost to Jeff week 1.
Jeff.
So yeah, I have him kind of in this middle of the pack, but I do expect Tepig to be the one to take that final playoff spot from Jacob, and sneak out and grab it. But any of these teams with 2 wins could possibly do it. So as a nice transition, one of the other possible teams to do it as a sleeper pick is Jolty. So Jolty, he has played pretty much only the hardest coaches at this point. The only like really other hard coach he hasn't played yet is Reggie. But other than that, he lost to me, Hazy, which is a bit unfortunate that he had to play Hazy before he left. I think anyone who had to play Hazy before he left is at a disadvantage, unfortunately, but there's not much we can do about it. He played D. Winchell and Jeff. So all of his losses besides to Robot Boy, which was to Hacks, are against some of the best coaches in the league, which means he really has a soft schedule left at this point, which is probably the only upside right now for Jolty because he does have the most losses in the league. But I still have him ranked highly because he has been playing well. I think Jolty just has a really weird problem where he sometimes just doesn't acknowledge his opponent's biggest threat to him or bring good checks to it and makes it lose a lot of the time. Like against me early on, he didn't bring defensive Necrozma to deal with my Medicham, and that really hurt him when defensive Necrozma was his best check to it. Against Robot Boy, he didn't bring a Cobalion that was faster than Pinsir, and that ended up biting him. Yeah, things like that. Against DeWinchell, he didn't bring any way to deal with Victini or any offense and then expected to win. He just sometimes makes really fatal flaws in his prep, I think. That kind of puts him in a really bad spot. But other times he plays very well, but I think that's something he really needs to clean up.
When he played again, I think after he lost to Flare, he like really woke up.
Jolty never lost to Flare.
I knew he Wait, what? Whoa. Who was he playing? No, it was because of he lost to
He lost to Jeff, and he got mad at Flare for suggesting he clicked Earthquake at the end.
And like I think he woke up because he was. I knew he was like coming after me because I knew he threatened me. He was like, "No offense to you, but like I'm really gonna go after this one." And I was like, "Okay," and I was like, I'm gonna bring Orb, Toxapex, Screens, Rotom Frost, and just those are, and then just like 3 support. Like I had Heal Bell, Roost, Defog, and a Return. Originally I had Toxic on my Mega Altaria. I was just like, I'm just gonna bring some like heat that Jolty won't expect. And I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, Necrozma.
Yeah, Necrozma kind of
For,
just did you in the butt this game.
for like, this is the problem. Like, I'm gonna expose myself, but I learned my lesson already. But when there's a Pokemon at the end of the draft, Necrozma, for some reason, I always put that in the back of my head, no matter how good it is. I just prep for it. So he and Necrozma, and I was like, bring Necrozma, he's just gonna like bring defensive Necrozma with Stealth Rocks, and I was like, no problem. He has Heat Wave, no problem. I have Toxapex, Photon Geyser, no problem with screens. It is. I was like, but I could bring Trick, Frost, to Scarf it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, nah, screens are better. We're still better in like theory, but like, I think my prep was just too cocky. Plus, or just caught me off because I know we were talking about this, and I was like, all right, this is the perfect plan, but we did not like count in Roar at all.
Yeah.
And, like as soon as we subbed, and that was like amazing prep because here I'm gonna like go back. Okay. And I sent out Zygarde because I was like, he's either gonna send out Tornadoes, Tail, which would be ideal for me, Necrozma, or Zebstrika, and I was like, Zygarde got this. And then he sent out Zebstrika, and I was like, all right, he's gonna HP. It's like he might have HP Ice, and I was like, but I should have taken HP Ice, and I could just D-dance here. So I'm D-danced, and I was like, okay, and I subbed like I should have. He roared, and I was like, at that point, I was like,
Yeah,
whoa.
that worked if he had Toxic, but not if he had Roar.
Okay, well now that my Zygarde can't fully set up,
Yeah, that
right
always
now,
sucks when something
or-
like that happens. Your entire plan goes out the window to a move you weren't expecting.
did like my backup plan, which was screens, and thankfully Rotom came out, so I just set up screens at that point, and I was like, all right, I kind of suck at this point, but it's okay. But he didn't set up rocks; he just back, and I was like, okay, reflect, and I switched out the Toxapex because I knew I could take a Willow.
Mm-hmm.
Going, and I could tell you when I was playing, and whenever he had, it was. I'm gonna like go to a point, yeah. So it was like Celesteal against Mudsail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would fear the Leech Seed into. It
Into
had Sap
Zebstrika.
Zipper, yeah, because it had Sap Zipper attack and
So
just
it's-
Wild Charge. And
Yeah,
I was
it's a
like,
bit scary because you want an Earthquake to keep it out.
and there was one play where I actually thought I was pretty god. I had like I used Earthquake, but on this Sylveon,
Mm-hmm.
ideally it would have been Zebstrika, but he did send out Marowak. It tanked it, but I just like protect stalled it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, here I am. I had to waste out this Moonlights. Survive enough. I got all of him down to 0 Moonlights, but at that moment I was like, I can't survive anything unless he misses, and then he doesn't miss. Strike get killed. And I was like, my prep.
Yeah, I think you were just
No.
really under prep for the Necrozma, and there just wasn't too much you could do about it once it started setting up Calm Minds.
But
It-
at the start,
Did you have
which-
Toxic on anything?
That's why I didn't bring Toxic.
Try speaking a bit more into your mic. You kind of like cut out a
I
little
had
bit every now and
Toxic
then.
Spikes. That's why I didn't use Toxic. I originally had Toxic on Mega Altaria, but I just brought Return
Yeah.
thing. I don't know. I am disappointed, but now I'm 4-4.
Yeah. You're still
So, like,
2 games ahead of everyone else, though, because like I don't expect
So-
Jacob to make playoffs at this point. I'd be surprised if he did, but he could prove me wrong. but then everyone else below Jacob is only 2 wins. So
he's still at the bottom.
Yeah.
But he's 2-6.
Yeah, so at least 2.
If,
so even if one of the 2 wins something teams catches you, that's fine. You just need to make sure 2 of them don't catch you. So I would say you're a favorite for playoffs.
I'm at this point. I have you next.
Mm-hmm.
A game.
Well, anyways, let's talk about the Jeff match now. So apart from the play at the end, which was kind of a 50-50 in the first place, and like I can understand that Jolty was mad about it because, you know, it's really annoying to have the 50-50 affected by someone else. At the end of the day, it was still a 50-50. So like, I don't think you can really put it one way or the other. But I think the thing that was really a really big deal was early on in the game when what is it? Necrozma? Yeah, it was Necrozma missed the heat wave onto Skarmory when it was a 50-50 chance to kill, I believe. That was big because he was able to toxic and then roost after, and he got the 50-50 after he toxicked, and that was just really bad for Jolty to miss heat wave into not getting. Actually, it wasn't even the 50-50 because he got leftovers after the miss, so. He didn't miss the 50-50 after, but the heat wave was really bad to miss because Skarmory was able to stay alive and in the end killed him. I think Jolty really had the matchup advantage this match though, because Jeff didn't have the fat to wall out what he had, or the breaking power to break down what Jolty had. So I would have put the matchup in favor of Jolty. And I think Jolty really played this game well. I think he really one big thing though is I think he really underutilized his Tauren, or like didn't prep it as good as he could have. I think special Tauren with like Z Focus Blast could have really put in work. Z Focus Blast and Heat Wave, so he could Heat Wave the Skarm, and the Bisharp, and Focus Blast Bisharp and the Rhydon. I think that could have put in a lot of work. Definitely more work than the Tauren he brought, I think. And I think in the end, Jolty actually played this game really well. And had he not missed that heat wave, I think he probably would have won. So
I think that's. Well, I think that's the best anyone's played against Jeff.
Yeah, I think that's the closest anyone's taken him so far.
Oh.
So yeah, due to the strength of his schedule and his decent performance against Hazy and Jeff, like he nearly won both games. I think he has he's like played as good as any other coach. He's just like has weird matches where he just does really dumb things or like really just overlooks something in prep and gets messed up for it. But I think he definitely has a good shot to make a playoff run still at this point.
Win every game, Jolty.
Yeah.
Counting on you. Good. Alright, then.
Okay, to number 4 we have you, PK. You gave us a bit of a monologue on your game versus Jolty already. But I guess we can also I'll talk about your game versus Reggie real quick, and then you can give your thoughts on it. I don't think you deserve to get 6-0 at all. You definitely made some dumb plays, like protecting against the Gallade, which like really in the end it actually didn't matter because you went into Jellicent after, so like it was the same thing as it in the first place. Maybe you could have brought something to revenge the Gallade, but you did have things that could take hits from Gallade and kind of just like let them get too worn down, like the Altaria. But I think what was really the big flaw in what you did this game was you gave up too much momentum to him. You kind of like let Rotom and Kyurem come in way too much, and they were the biggest threats to your team. Like after Tangrowth came in and you HP fired into the Ferrothorn, which is like a pretty savage play to be honest. I don't even know why that play worked. Letting the Kyurem in thereafter was a really big misplay because Kyurem was such a big threat to your team, and you really could have made a mid ground, like going into, I don't know, maybe a Selly or something, like just something that could have taken the hit from Kyurem. because you knew from the beginning that Kyron was coming and it was going to be a big threat. Because you didn't have very good switch-ins to it, and you kind of just gave it too many opportunities and let Rotom Volt switch around too much. And you probably could have taken some initiative at some point and try and set up rocks with the Donphan, especially blocking the Volt switch, because you're a Pasho, right? PK?
Yeah, I was Pasha, but...
Yeah, so you could have brought Donphan in and tried to set up rocks on the Rotom. It might have been a defog Rotom, which would have been a problem. But, had those rocks gone up, then Zygarde actually would have won the game late game.
It was defensive Lando, so I'm guessing that. Dog, my whole thing was, I'm looking for a Zygarde. But, like, as soon as he went to SD Glade, I was like, well, this thing outspeeds me, but he doesn't know that it outspeeds me.
You maybe threatened E-Speed because he had so many Spadef drops from CC at that point. Or
that's why he switched, and I was like...
Maybe if you went to it after the first one, you could have won. Because you could have... if Bandit E-Speed killed a -1 Gallade, that could have...
Rocks hurt Lando, right?
Huh?
Yeah, Rocks hurt Lando, right?
Yeah, you didn't have him at that point. I'm gonna calc that real quick though. If Gallade could eat a choice band thing, you can keep talking though. I'm just checking that.
Right. So he got up Rocks with Pharaoh. Well, I lost, and I had 5 months, and I was like, okay, I'm still in it. And then he got rocks up with Pharaoh, and then I looked back and I was like, actually, I could have won right there. And if I did switch into Donphan at that point, and I did rock up, sack the Donphan event, and then just free switch into Zygarde, and then I would have won 4-0.
By the way, Bandit Extreme Speed at -1 does 67 to 82 Gallade. I don't remember how much chip you had on it at that point, though. Or if any.
50% or something. Yeah, I had Leech on Gallade. Also, my set for Celesteela was whack, because I didn't slam on it, I think. And it's like Flamethrower and EQ, and I didn't have Heavy Slam, and I could have killed the Aromatisse right there, because I didn't have Heavy Slam, and I was like, well, fuck me.
Yeah, you definitely should have had Heavy Slam and not EQ. I don't think EQ even hit anything in his team.
Didn't, and I forgot to switch. I forgot to change it, because for some reason I had EQ. Hold up. Why did I have EQ? There's Tentacruel, yes. And I was just like, or is Raichu. Cause I was
okay, he's up for Raichu.
I was like, and I was like, alright, let me just play Heavy Slam. And then I guess it never, like, because sometimes Showdown, like, messes up my team builder. I didn't even put it. I don't even, like, my short-term memory loss be, like, making me think weird. But I know I thought about Heavy Slam, and I just don't know why I didn't put it. And at that point, Ox would have won me the game. And
yeah, I think maybe your out at the end was to threaten the E-Speed earlier instead of sacking everyone. I think you might have had a chance, especially if you came in and threatened the E-Speed and then 1,000 arrows the Lando instead, and then brought Zygarde out again later and used that chip you had on it to make sure the second 1,000 arrows the second time you set up killed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, by the way, all technicality for everyone who's listening to this, that would have been a 5-0 if I outraged, but I gave Reggie the 6-0 because I love Reggie. All right. And if I outraged, then
I don't think you had a 6-0 performance. Like, you definitely probably shouldn't have won that game with how you played around the Kyurem and the Gallade and stuff, but I don't think you deserve to get 6-0 though.
If I crit right there, I would have won.
Yeah, you would have.
That is factual.
I would say, go as far to say as 1,000 arrows was the right play, because that play gave you the chance to win, whereas
wasn't thinking about that. I was just like,
like Outrage gave you the differential point, but Thousand Arrows was like the 6% chance to win, and that's more valuable.
Who else did I play? I played
Jolty.
Flare.
Right?
Right?
You already talked about that a lot.
Well, no, I played 3. I already talked about.
Oh
that.
yeah, we did talk. Or yeah, it was Flare, but we also talked about that one too.
Let's move on and how I suck.
Did you don't want to talk about the Flare one?
I did. I just played straightforward. I just expected a straightforwardness, and then at the point, I was like, well, I'm kind of gonna lose unless I make this god play, and then I did. And then I was being cocky again. It's gonna happen. 4-4. I think that's respectable. It's my record.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, the PR is not respectable. It's just like.
Well, I mean, fourth place is not bad.
Well, I don't know. I mean, is there 4th on PR?
Yeah, you're in 4th place.
Yeah, I just think everyone else just hasn't played well.
Up to their standard.
Yeah, and I think I just took advantage on that, which is wins that I should have won against and losses that I've again. I think those are just respectable.
Yeah, all your losses are to the top 3 on the rankings, the 3 above you, and then Jolty, which
below me. So
yeah. Well, I guess we'll move on to D-Winchill at number 3, who beat Robot Boy and Jacob consecutive weeks, who are 2 of the lower ranked coaches. He had really good prep against.
He should win.
Yeah, there are games he should win. Against Robot Boy, he had really good prep, and Robot Boy is just not prepared to deal with T-Tar, and it kind of destroyed him. And like we said before, the Reggie Steel actually almost destroyed him had he not frozen it. And then against Jacob, we talked about this before, but Jacob had an incredibly good matchup against him, and just did not prep or play it very well at all, and allowed D-Winchill to actually win it dominantly, which probably shouldn't happen. But D-Winchill played both games fine, and did what he had to do to win. I just think that neither one was like that impressive. He just did what he had to, and had solid prep and played okay. Not a whole lot to say there. What was that?
I mean, that's what you need.
That's what you need?
Play. Yeah, just solid play and just solid prep, and I think D-Winch had all of that. He just brought the prep that he should have prepped. Gup wasn't ready. No, he played well. D-Winch just played calm. He won.
Yeah.
I guess that's a plus, and then just obliterated Mega T-Tar both weeks, so.
I don't think Mega T did how many kills? Yeah, I got like 3 kills with Jacob, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like 9-0 or something right now. Yeah, I think it's again when you play against the higher end coaches that your mistakes become a lot more apparent in game, because lots of coaches kind of like won't exploit your big mistakes. So there's not a whole lot to criticize D-Winchill on, because he really wasn't exploited too heavily by anyone. So I guess we'll move on to number 2, which was Reggie. So his past 2 weeks, he beat PK and lost to Jeff. The game versus Jeff was really whack. Jeff made like a super whack play of facading turn 1 versus Talonflame. I guess he like
ultimate prep, bro. Because that's ultimate prep. Like, I actually thought about it, because Gale Wings, isn't that its ability? 100%, and it just Willow's for priority. And I was like,
well, Gale Wings only works for flying moves.
Like, hold up, am I like?
I think I don't know. Like, Will-O-Wisp made sense as the mid ground to hit between Lopunny and Rhydon. Like that made sense. And I guess he just really didn't want Rhydon to take the Wisp, or like just had a really strong read on Scarf or something.
Well, he probably had a set, and he was like, well, I don't really need return. So if I get
Well,
burn,
Burt made a
then
lot of sense too because like it made a lot of sense for him to try and burn him with like flame body fake out or something, and Will-O-Wisp on Talonflame and Will-O-Wisp on Rotom. There were a lot of threads on Reggie's team that would want to burn Lopunny, so Facade made sense, but to go for it on turn 1 was fucking crazy.
I mean, he protected, and then he knew he was going to get Willowed, so he just took the Willow and then just returned a Facade.
Yeah, just like hella dangerous because if he's not Scarf, then he can just get Brave Birded and died. Assuming that he's Gale Wings, of course. And even then, he wouldn't even have done that much. But thereafter, Reggie made a miscalc against Pyroar and then got his Ferrothorn cooked. And then after that made Facade Lopunny that much more dangerous because the Steel type was gone. So things just went completely downhill and it was unwinnable after that point. So like a super wild play followed by a miscalc really ended it. So Reggie definitely had a chance at this game still if he didn't make that miscalc. I think Reggie kind of has a bad tendency to do that, to like have way too much confidence in his calcs and like not consider weird like balanced EVs or things like that. Because like, especially because I was really triggered in our PSVA game. I was really salty that game, like mad at myself, not even. But like Reggie kept being like, "Wow, that was a min roll and shit," because he didn't know my sets and he kept miscalcing. I mean, he was like, "Well, you have to have X amount of speed and stuff," when he was completely wrong on my sets. So I think he needs to be a bit more open-minded about his sets because he like both times he tried to make claims about calcs. It was in high rolls he was actually completely off and actually had rolls in his favor.
I agree with that, but I think just Jeff's weird prep, just handled him, and just Ruben does deserve the what was it, 4-0?
Something like that, yeah.
So I think he deserves that. Oh, and I think Jeff played actually like really well. Just right on to even get to come out, just there. And I guess Reggie did have a chance. At the same time, after that Facade, it was like, well, does he really now?
Yeah. After Ferrothorn went down, there was absolutely no chance.
His only counter to Mega Lop was...
Well, he was the Rotom.
Yeah, and then once I knew it had Facade, it was just like, well... And then it took 61 on Pyroar, and he was like, well...
Yeah, I think he got hit by a Modest, Silk Scarf, hit Hyper Voice, and mistook it for Specs.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just some weird prep, Jeff. But props, it worked.
Yeah.
It was me, yeah.
Yeah. You talked a lot about that one. But yeah, like, it was the really solid expected prep from Reggie, and he got his Kyurem in and often, and you didn't do what you had to get it to keep Kyurem from coming in, and Kyurem kind of blew holes in your team, and then Gallade came in and blew even bigger holes in the team and killed everyone.
Abused his draft against mine.
I
want to say something. I think I was thinking about this when I was losing the Jolty. Won me that match.
What about that?
Leah would have won me that match.
What would have won you what match?
Against Jolty today.
Against Jolty, better prep for Necrozma, I think. And possibly either something to Toxic Mudsdale, like bringing Toxic Band Zygarde or something. Or something like that to wear the Mudsdale down over time instead of trying to set up on it.
I think I made a mistake on dropping Cresselia.
Need to beat Jolty with Cresselia. It works because Jolty doesn't have the heart to kill another Cresselia. It's standing there in front of him. He just can't kill it.
Oh, I could have pinned him for that.
Jolty's about to 6-0 you. It's just Cresselia left. He's like, I can't do it.
Oh my god.
You just called mine all over him.
Oh my god. I'm like, just as much as I want to be sad, I'm just.
You think that's enough for Reggie then?
Yeah, I mean Jeff's the last one. Just can't really.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jeff's number one.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Jeff
Close
already.
one.
Like really whack first turn against Reggie that worked out, I guess. And then after that, he pretty much had won the game.
Okay.
And against Jolty, he got a bit lucky to win, but also I think he played well. I think the one big key mistake that Jeff made was when he brought in Lop against the Mega Sceptile. He faked out instead of returned. And now he might have been afraid that Jolty would have sacked Sceptile at that point. But I think like the risk of reward versus of returning into Necrozma, it was much more worth it to go for that, because even if he did stay in, he couldn't kill the Lopunny. So I think the aggressive play of returning the Necrozma was probably the better one. And then maybe he should have been a bit more careful late game for Chople Cobalion, because I think Jeff kind of had the game wrapped up, and then Chople Cobalion came in and really, really put Jolty back in the driver's seat.
Incident.
I think Jeff was playing it against it as if it was Scarf, which makes a lot of sense, because Scarf Cobalion for Lopunny makes sense, since it since you would want your Cobalion to outrun it, and you can switch in on like a normal move and offensively check it. But Chople also was a good prep, and I don't think Jeff was ready for it. So he maybe could have played a bit more careful around that, but I don't think Jeff had too many options to beat Cobalion at that point other than Lops, so he was kind of in a tough spot. So
talk about the true number one Zavactin.
we'll see who the true number one is this week, because Jeff and I play.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna record commentary over it.
All right.
I'm busy.
I guess that's it for the rankings then. Any final thoughts, PK?
So literally everyone's still in for playoffs.
Yeah, I think everyone's alive.
I think the top two, you and
yeah, Jeff and I clinch. Reggie and D Winchell are basically in, and you would need you aren't confirmed, but you're very likely to make it, I'd say.
Play you. However that goes. Cody, and then Jacob, which is depending on how Cody does, and I guess if Jacob decides to show up winnable games.
Mm-hmm.
I could always favor myself. I could always not. Right now, I'm not feeling cocky, so I might win. But we'll see how that goes. And if I could say, if I include the top 5, which includes me, 6th spot out of everyone.
Yeah, the 6th spot's the one that's really contested right now, because the top 5 are like really clear ahead in terms of record.
He plays for Flair next week, and whoever wins just gets knocked out. And then
yeah, this is crunch time. If you're a team with 2 wins, you need to win every game from here, because every other team's trying to win every team or every game.
Personally, I think it's between Tepik, Pita, and Jolty.
Yeah, I think Jolty can make it still, but he needs to win every game.
As much as I don't want to say it, mind and heart, Flair.
You think Flair's gonna make it?
If Flair beats Reggie, I'm gonna put money on he makes it. I want him, no, all hatred to you, Flair, but I don't want you in the playoffs. But for some reason, I have faith in you. you just don't know how much I'm smiling. And also, if I can like real, I made a. So I was recording live on Jeff's match, and it was a good match. And
Yeah, that was one of the closest
did
matches of the
actually-
season.
I was recording at the start, and then I accidentally like leaked my prep for PSBA and Jolty, and I was like, I can't really post this, so I had to
You can
restart.
just edit it out.
I don't have that tech.
PK
Yeah,
hasn't learned
I
edit
was
yet. It's
Yeah,
not.
what's it
Maybe it'll be a
called?
move tutor moves next generation. Gen 8,
And
make it happen.
What's it called? I did that thing, and I actually like really got pissed at you, Flair. Like, hear this part, but I did go on a rant, and I did go on the rant what happened in your league about racism. Think that you say stuff, and as you're as the same age as me, so I guess I don't have any reason to talk. But you do say stuff, and you do think of yourself better than us. Be
PK, I
honest.
think we get a little too real right now.
I know,
Calm
but
down.
we all play Pokemon, and we're all here for friends, and I do love you, so just try to like think before you speak. And yeah, I have to think before I speak too, but I just want this to be a loving community, so
Well, all right.
and yeah.
As my final regards, if Flair actually beats Reggie, like you said, I'll upload a history lesson on England for Reggie.
Hey.
Dude, I took a lot of classes on English history actually, so that wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, that's been
Wouldn't be too bad.
the week 7 power rankings. We'll see you next time.